Howdy. Whoa, that's loud. I sound a lot taller than I actually am. So I'm the Aussie guy. Yeah, that's me. I'm a professional. That's me at a bush doof in Australia. We Australians are very good with words. We take the bush and dance music, which goes doof, 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 and we put them together. You see what I did there? Bush doof. It's like a party out in the middle of the bush with a whole bunch of people that like drive out and take a whole bunch of drugs and party all weekend. Yeah, people trust me with their innovation. It's a good idea. So the reason that I've got this up here is that I honestly think I have learned more about UI and UX design and how people work from these kinds of events than the last decade of UI stuff. Honestly, there's a rugged humanity to what happens at these kinds of events, and I do them every half year or so to keep me weird. I think that's important, right? By day, yeah, as Dan so nicely put, we do innovation for companies that are like hyped to do innovation, but too kind of big and slow to actually do it. And obviously this involves like a whole bunch of UI and UX stuff. So whilst I am completely undereducated on like law and security stuff, other people deal with that, UI and UX is like, that's my thing, right? And there's this marvelous thing that happens when you're like particularly good at anything, I think. Like if you do your 10,000 hours on anything, you see the face of God in it. You know, you get totally into it. And it's like 12 hours in front of an iMac pushing pixels around and your brain melts. And then you go to leave so that you can get out into the real world and you grasp the door handle and that Neo like, oh my God, I can see the code thing happens and you're like, this is bad UI. I know this. This is bad UI. If this was a lever, it would be easier to open. If this was like a sliding door that knew who I was and let me, if it had like a little swipe card like my hotel, that it'd be kind of secure and I could get in. Oh, I can see the code. It is all UI. Like my feet are the interface between like myself and this stage for the goal of like wandering around while I rant. Yeah, like you can have the division between like accountancy and law, let's say. Yeah, like that's an interface. Air and water, surface tension, interfaces. Yeah, and there's this thing right with interfaces where really good ones, after you start thinking about them, not just as portals, but as like places for somebody to get from one place to the other or interact with one thing or another, they start to drift away and you get this kind of weird Zen-like, maybe I've taken too many drugs at parties, no, you get this Zen-like kind of great UI is not there feeling. It's porous, it's transparent, it's like old lovers that talk without talking. It's like a classical guitarist that has a beautiful guitar and it is no longer him and the guitar. It's like the guitar plays him and he just opens up his heart and the music comes out and that's it. And he couldn't tell you how, right? Because guitars are brilliant bits of UI. They're a really, really well figured out piece of UI. So if UI is the guitar, if UI is the notes in the song, then how can we contextualize UX in there? Yeah, I would say that UX it's that tap of the conductor's baton right at the start, so that things like quieten down. It's like getting the tickets in the mail before you go and see the concert. It's like walking down the street with your friends afterwards, talking about the experience. Like on the web, we like to think about branding, not as what you tell an audience you are or what you do. Branding is what they tell their friends about you. And UX is the thing that they tell their friends about you, right? So we've got a whole bunch of guys in the studio and we've got this issue where we get a whole bunch of new employees because we're growing quite quickly. And I need a really quick and dirty way to explain to these guys how to think about UI and UX. And it's really, really easy if you just think the person on the other end of the UI is drunk. It works really, really, really well. We know that drunk people are like really distractible, so you take them like step by step by step through the idea, yeah? Okay, you're gonna put on your shoes. Okay, now you're gonna get into the taxi. You've seen this kind of thing, right? Like we have big, fat, childish buttons that you click, yeah? And they've got like little bevels on them so that you know that you can interact with them. We've got this, by the way, it's Melbourne time, it's like Friday night, and I'm not willing to reset my clock, okay? We say things twice, yeah? This is something we've stolen from speed signs in Australia, yeah? When you are driving down an Australian road, you'll get a little thing that says 60k an hour, and then 50 meters later or so, you'll see another sign that says 60k an hour. It's because you missed the first one, because the kids are arguing in the back, and you see the second one, you're like, yeah, okay, slow down, right? We say it twice. We say next slide, and then we have a little arrow pointing right, because drunk people need it twice, yeah? There's a whole bunch of like really simple kind of technical reasons why thinking about the end user as drunk works really well. But we're here to talk about like privacy and security, right? We're going to talk about the larger issues. And I think some of the more human issues. So let's see if we can stretch this embarrassing metaphor a little further and talk about the UX of privacy. So sex, let's start with the fun stuff, sex. Okay, so when you drive to this bush doof, right, because they're like at someone's farm or whatever, you come up to the front gate and you roll down your window and some dude will give you like a little thing around your wrist, to prove that you've paid. And you get like a garbage bag to put all your rubbish away. And more these days, they give you a little packet. And the little packet, when you open it up, it's got a couple of condoms in it. And it says, put these in your back pocket. And so you oblige, and because you're excited about music, you don't care about this. And underneath it, there's another little sign that says, dude, this party lasts all weekend, and it is going to be rad. A baby lasts forever. So party hard, but party safe, right? And it works. Yeah, it works really, really well. And I think like part of the reason why is because condoms are, again, brilliant UI, right? There's like a standard little packet with you can like use it one-handed to pull the packet apart. It's like the UX around it is really good. We get that thing at 14 where we all sit in an embarrassing class in high school and we put the condoms on bananas. We have billboards in Melbourne telling men to check out their sexual health. It works because it's like a multilateral approach to safety. And a drunk person can use a condom. It works. Okay, so another thing about drunk people. Let's concentrate on the drunks. So have you ever noticed that thing where at parties, the more people get drunk, the more they share about themselves. We love to share. We're societal beings, we share everything. I got this friend who has a beautiful trick for getting people to interact better at parties, right? Because she's a really good hostess. And what she does is she sits all the strangers in a circle together and gives them all a shot of tequila. And the idea is that you take the shot and then you explain quickly your most embarrassing sexual misadventure. And, everyone in the group is like, no, I'm not going to say that. I'm drunk, but not that drunk, right? But she starts it off. She takes 2 shots just to make a point. And then she tells this story about, like double denim and country music. And I'm pretty sure I'm being filmed, so I'm not going to repeat it. But the point is that she shares. And because she's shared, the person to the left shares and shares and shares and shares. And before you know it, we've got this group of people in this web of trust sharing stuff with each other because we expect what happens in Vegas to stay in Vegas. And the idea of somebody the next day going and telling somebody else about it is unheard of, right? We trust each other because we've shared something together. It's so similar to the way that people share stuff online. We share our personal hopes and dreams on Twitter and Facebook. You've seen the way that 16-year-olds use this stuff, right? That's terrifying. There's a whole bunch of stuff that we do online that is really similar to stuff that we do when we're drunk. It's that guy that's like, no, I don't smoke, I'm just drinking right now. I'm not a smoker. And next morning, like 9 a.m., you give them a cigarette, they are not going to want it, right? It's kind of I actually think it's kind of beautiful, right? Because there's those lovers that would never meet if they like hadn't have had a bit of Dutch courage and said how they felt to one another. You've got like, you see it on like the Reddit comment threads. You know, like those two neckbeards having a beautiful, incisive, interesting conversation that would never happen in real life if they were sober, because they'd have to make eye contact. And it wouldn't happen, right? and the reason that this works, is because UX design wins, right? It just wins. If the UX design is bad, it doesn't work. I don't care how beautiful the technology stack is, how politically, I don't care, right? It doesn't work. UX design wins, right? Like, I gotta say, as soon as I get my hands anywhere near one of these bad boys, I'm gonna like staple it to my forehead and just run around like a man. I don't care if they're tracking where I pee day to day, or like sampling my blood and like taking pictures of my pupils to make sure I'm me. I don't care. I know the Germans are liking me right now. But it's true. It's true. Do you know what, actually? Siri, can you remind me tomorrow at 2 p.m. to look into how utterly invasive your privacy policy is? Thank you, Siri. Nice. I love you too. Bye. The reason is that these things work because they're easy, right? They work because they work on a level that makes us happy, right? UX trumps all. And I think it's one of these things where, I don't know, it's the case where if you do really good UX, it's not actually about like the interface, or it's not really about the method that you use for dealing with the human beings behind it. It's how you respect what people want to achieve with it. Yeah? If you have one of these like, oh yum. If you have one of these situations where you've got a whole bunch of good user interfaces that don't respect the wishes of the person at the other end, it doesn't work. Let me bring us back to reality again in a more intense and interesting way. So there's this really interesting bit of technology that was made. I think it was invented by an Aussie, actually. It's called the Life Straw. And it's a little like bit of plastic thing about this long. And the idea is that you hang it around your neck and you can go to like any water, doesn't matter how dirty it is, stick it in, suck on the other end, and it filters like 99-point-something% of the impurities out. It's technically phenomenal. It is utterly and incredibly decisively brilliant, apart from the bit where it doesn't work. It filters water, sweet, but I mean, never mind that the price point is like a third of the yearly wage of the people it's meant to be used by. Never mind the fact that the people that are actually given it don't know how to bloody use the thing, right? Like, they come back and find out who's using it 6 months later, and half of them haven't been taught. The other ones that have been taught don't even care. They're not going to give the most valuable thing in their house to the kid to walk down the street with. Never mind the fact that no self-respecting human being is going to put their face this far away from a dirty thing of water and suck on a straw for 20 minutes. It doesn't bloody work. And when you have to suck for 20 minutes to get your daily water intake because it's a bloody desert and they need 3 times the water of the people that invented the device, it's a no-brainer that it doesn't work, right? But there are some solutions that are solving these problems. And the solutions that work are ones that have simple, transparent interfaces that are built with respect for the person that's using them, on their terms, using their materials, in ways that make them feel like they've got ownership for the device. A lot of the solutions to these problems are really data-driven. You know, you've got these like impact philanthropy, they're like startups operating in the charity world, and they are kicking ass. Like, they are really, really good because they build the entire UI and UX around the people that are going to use it. Now, I guess if that was the build, then this is the drop. I'm not actually talking about drunk people through this entire thing. I'm guessing you might have noticed that by now. I'm mean, the fact is, take the 45-year-old kick-ass CEO, and she's got like 2 degrees under her belt and an MBA and 100 people that report to her, and she's dealing with problems that haven't been invented yet, and she's got the kids that need to be taken to soccer tonight, and she's got the parents coming over on the weekend, and she's not entirely sure whether it's her turn or her partner's turn to cook dinner tonight, and with the amount of time she's got left to look at her device, she might as well be blind drunk. She might as well be blind drunk. I mean, we've got professors here that are going to back me up on this one, right? Like, you have like a little blinking mail thing at the bottom of someone's screen, you just wipe like 10 points off their IQ. So imagine flinging life at somebody and then expecting them to understand an interface on your terms. It just doesn't work. I mean, as a UX person who cares deeply about this stuff, I don't really care if you're dealing with like a 22-year-old, San Francisco hipster in Starbucks on his MacBook, or it could be that 45-year-old BlackBerry user, or it could be the 2 million proud people of West Rwanda. The UX is the bit that counts. And I kind of feel like you champions of industry that we have here today, you guys are uniquely placed to make the kinds of decisions that let us reach through the UI and talk to somebody in their terms and touch their heart and let them change something. That's really exciting. It doesn't matter whether it's like an iPhone, or you're dealing with like a language interface, or you're dealing with I don't know, some kind of big neural networky thing that people are interfacing with at some point or another. It doesn't matter if it's like a physical device or a technological device or a glass of water. It's... Did you see that? This is good. I said glass of water and the Germans are like, you lie. I mean, come on, it's like 11 o'clock in the morning. I'm not going to drink gin. Are you mental? I got like a panel to speak at, and I'm so jet lagged right now, I'm not entirely sure who I am. I'm not going to throw alcohol into the mix. But the Germans have a point. The Germans have a point here, right? That's a valid experience. No, it's valid. It's vitally valid. I mean, at no point did I say that was alcohol. At no point did I mention the word martini or gin. I'm hoping the video will back me up on that. But they're seeing this like pink-shirted, slightly mental guy that habitually dresses up in Pikachu outfits talking about sex and drugs and rock and roll. You can imagine how that's the understanding that they'd have, right? I guess like when the secret is out and the UX is found to be wrong by one party, then the entire content of the situation comes. You're listening to this, NSA? The secret is out, and the experience has been compromised, and as a result, the entire content of the thing comes into question. Anyway, I'm gonna finish up. So, what can I, as a humble UX developer, actually teach you? Am I recommending that Monday, kind of mid-afternoon, you take the project that you're working on right now and have like a couple of sneaky scotches and see if it cuts the mustard? Absolutely not. That's a terrible idea, and I wouldn't recommend it, and I don't tell any of my staff to do that ever. Really, really bad idea. Maybe the important thing we should do is the Germans and I will go after this and have a pint of Bitburger and get a little bit drunk and a little bit excited and start the conversation again on human terms. Okay, sorry. There we go. We'll drink the beer you want. How's that? All right, I'm going to get out of your head. Thanks, guys.